In 1988, a record 622 million pounds of nuts were consumed by Americans, primarily those being pecans, walnuts, filberts, and chestnuts. And of course, Oklahoma is one of the big supporters or providers of pecans to that market. We're standing under a pecan tree and we've had several frosts and we're starting to get some of our pecans to drop. But most of us are familiar with pecans, what they look like, as well as black walnuts, which is another native that grows here in Oklahoma. But I thought I would show you some of the chestnuts and filberts that are also grown here in Oklahoma. But there's a lot of questions whether or not you can grow them commercially. And I'm putting on these leather gloves because a chestnut is known for its prickly spine that you can see here, and this is one that's already opened up. This is a Chinese chestnut, and the American chestnut, which most of us are familiar with, was primarily wiped out many years ago by a fungus disease, and the Chinese chestnut has been replacing those and being crossed with them. And these are some that have been grown here on campus, and again, it's a Chinese chestnut. Here's one that has the chestnuts inside. And again, it's known for that prickly spine. And some of the foliage that we've collected too is pretty good size, but it's known for the margins of the sawtooth margins. And the thing about growing the chestnuts in Oklahoma is that they need to have a little bit of protection. These are grown here on the campus on the south side of a building. And even then, the chestnuts themselves have a tendency to be pretty small and really don't fill out that well. And some other problems that occur because of sun scald during the time of harvest, as well as a lot of dew and humidity, which causes some problems. So we're really not sure how they'll do commercially, but in a home situation, a few people are experimenting with them. Another nut that's on the market this time of year during the holiday season is called the filbert or hazelnut. And this is an American hazel or hazelnut, and they're a lot smaller, and this one is actually growing wild over in the eastern part of the state, and we had a viewer send this in for us to identify. And the nuts are pretty small. The commercial varieties are a lot bigger and again are used just like chestnuts would, but there's not the spines on the seed coatings. But the same reasons as far as growing them commercially are true, and that would be sun scald, the humidity, the dew, and the problems with uneven temperatures which cause the trees to get winter killed. So these are some that we're not too familiar with but are growing in Oklahoma and some of the homeowners are experimenting with. Well, as you know, with the first few frosts, our pecans are starting to drop out of their shell, and now's the time that we need to start trying to harvest them and beat the squirrels to them, which the squirrels are our biggest pest when it comes to pecans. Now there's a few things on the market that you can use to help aid in harvesting pecans. And one of those things was sent to us by Bagonet Company in Jacksonville, Florida, and they sent this for us to try and experiment and see how it does. And basically it's just like pushing a wheelbarrow, only there's a roller that has soft teeth on it which collects the pecans, and as they come around there's some red teeth here that relieve them from the other teeth, and then they fall into the bag. So let's see how this works. Now, a few weeks before you start harvesting your pecans, you want to make sure you mow the area down so you can have a good clean area for the pecans to fall on, and it makes it a lot easier to harvest. We've got a lot of pecans under this tree as well as a lot of green ones that have fallen off. Now the thing that you have to be careful with, if you go too fast, the pecans will fly off and actually miss the bag, and that's part of the thing that you want to be careful with, because that's the nice thing about this machine is that it actually harvests the pecans right here in the bag for you, and it looks like it did a nice job. The only thing that might be prohibitive would be the cost of this. It runs about $170, so it would be more for the people who had several trees or went to different kinds of trees, different neighborhoods, or people with pecan trees and harvested a lot, it'd be pretty prohibitive with the cost. But if you're the homeowner that just has one tree, or you go and just collect a few bags, there's another device that's a handheld device that works with a coil spring that retails about under $10. And it's a little bit more cost efficient, and it works quite well too. But then, these are alternatives to the other option of just going out with that hard back breaking and just bending over and stooping and picking up the pecans. Well, now that you have your pecans harvested, you want to lay them out in a warm room to dry for about 10 days.
We hope you enjoyed this video. It's part of our OK Gardening Classics YouTube channel. You can also find more recent videos on our Oklahoma Gardening YouTube channel. And join us on social media for great gardening tips, photos, and discussion.